Welcome, everyone. Today, we're not really doing a typical deep dive. We're going to be sharing some stories. You've brought us five, frankly, harrowing accounts. These are true stories of school lockdowns told by the people who lived through them.
Yeah, and these aren't just statistics or news reports. They're visceral, first-hand experiences. They really show how that line between, a normal school day and extreme danger can just dissolve instantly.
Exactly. Often with no warning, no clear reason why, at least not in the moment. We want to let these stories speak for themselves. We'll go through them chronologically, letting the experiences unfold.
Sounds good. These personal narratives have a unique power.
Okay, so the first one takes place in a pretty small rural high school. This was maybe, 17 years back?
Yeah.
The person telling the story mentioned a graduating class of less than 200. So a quiet place, generally.
Right, the kind of environment where you might feel inherently safer, perhaps let your guard down a bit, which, of course, makes what happened even more jarring.
Definitely. So there was this junior, let's call him Luke. He was in the narrator's computer class, back when they had those huge boxy monitors. And Luke, he literally never spoke, ever.
Total silence.
Yeah. And some seniors started picking on him. It escalated. And one day a piece of crumpled paper hit the back of Luke's head. The narrator saw him turn, and his face was just this awful mix: sadness, anger, and just defeat. It was really striking.
That sounds like a breaking point, or close to it.
It must have been. Because later, the narrator saw Luke walking home and, on impulse, offered him a ride. It was only like a 10-minute drive. And Luke actually talked. He said he was just sick of the bullying, that it was happening in multiple classes.
So a small connection was made there, a moment of reaching out.
Yeah, the narrator felt like they finally saw the real kid underneath, someone decent but isolated and just hurting. Then the very next day, things went bad. Luke wasn't in fourth period. And during seventh period English, the announcement came over the speakers: lockdown. This is not a drill.
Chilling. And immediately you'd think.
Chaos. Well, controlled chaos. Lights off, absolute silence, hiding. They were like that for maybe 20, 30 minutes. Later, the principal explained someone was seen approaching the school in a mask, carrying a black duffel bag.
So the immediate assumption was a weapon. Standard procedure, lockdown.
Right. But the story doesn't end there. Not even close. That Friday night, this is where it gets really disturbing. The narrator wakes up around midnight to this light tapping sound on their bedroom window.
Oh no, at home.
At home. They look out and someone's standing there in the dark. They crack the window open just a tiny bit and hear Luke's voice.
Luke, the kid from school, at the window.
Yeah. And he confirms it. He says he was the one who caused the lockdown. And his exact words were, through the window, I tried to do something bad.
Tried to do something bad? That's incredibly unnerving. What did the narrator do?
Refused to let him in, obviously. Slammed the window shut, yelled for their dad. Luke got scared and ran off. The police got involved, and he was charged with, I think, making a terroristic threat. The narrator strongly believed Luke had brought a gun, but just lost his nerve at the last second.
It really highlights how sometimes the threat isn't a stranger, but someone right there in the community, someone known to be struggling. Makes you wonder about missed signals,
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears. Story number 2. This one's different, kind of bizarre. It happened in 2016. Do you remember that whole killer clown sightings trend that was going around?
Vaguely, yeah. It was all over social media. Creepy stuff. Mostly seemed like hoaxes or pranks, though.
Well, this is at a quiet suburban elementary school. Around 1:00 p.m., a fifth grader yells out, "There's a clown outside!" And sure enough, standing just a few feet from the classroom window, there's a clown.
Okay, that's weird. What'd it look like?
Baggy, dirty red and yellow suit, white face paint, black around the eyes, and this big fake grin painted on. And he was just slowly waving at the window.
Just waving, not trying to get in or anything?
Nope. The teacher, Mrs. Riker, actually went to the window and told him through the glass, "Excuse me, classes are in session, you need to leave." But the clown didn't react, just kept smiling that fake smile and waving slowly.
That's unsettling, the lack of response.
Exactly. The vibe shifted real fast from weird to alarming. And less than 2 minutes later, principal's voice on the loudspeaker: urgent, lockdown, not a drill.
Yeah.
The kids hid under their desks for about half an hour.
It's interesting, isn't it, how even a potential prank, especially in that context, has to be treated with the absolute highest level of seriousness. The uncertainty itself becomes the threat, forcing the protocol. You can't take chances.
You really can't. But here's the extra creepy part. After the lockdown lifted and the kids were walking home, the narrator saw the clown again,
No way. Where?
near a small patch of woods behind the school. He was sort of half hidden by the trees. And he was waving again, slowly. But this time, directly at the students walking past. Mostly girls, according to the narrator. Like he was waiting for them.
That changes things, doesn't it? From a possible weirdo near the school to someone potentially targeting students outside of it. Chilling.
Really chilling. Okay, story 3 takes us somewhere else entirely. Outskirts of Philadelphia, March 2020. Right at the start of, well, everything shutting down, the narrator is a middle school teacher. And there's some heavy backstory here. She had taken in her best friend's daughter. The friend had been murdered by her husband, who was also convicted of several other murders. He was serving like 3 life sentences.
Wow, okay, so this teacher is already living with the aftermath of extreme violence, and she's protective of this child.
Highly protective. Then, one day at school, she gets a notification through the school system. Someone is there to pick up her stepdaughter. Guess who? The biological dad. The convicted murderer serving multiple life sentences.
How is that even possible? He's in prison, and surely the school would know not to release the child to him.
That's what she thought. The school had no authorization for him on file. Alarm bells went off instantly. She didn't wait for procedure. She immediately called the stepdaughter's classroom, had her pulled out, and brought straight to her own room. And about 10 minutes after the girl was safely with her, the lockdown siren starts blaring.
Incredible timing. Her quick thinking, acting outside the normal process probably prevented something awful.
Almost certainly. Because the police filled in the blanks later. The father hadn't just strolled out of prison, he'd escaped. There was a deliberate crash involving a prison transport bus.
A crash, like an orchestrated escape.
Exactly. The scene was apparently horrific. The report said 10 prisoners dead on the scene, 2 prison guards knocked out, and 20 escaped. And the police knew one of the escapees was this girl's father, and they knew he was heading straight for the school.
So the lockdown wasn't just precautionary. It was a direct response to a known, extremely dangerous fugitive targeting that specific child in that school. That's a level of threat most school safety plans probably don't even account for, a catastrophic external security failure bleeding directly onto campus. Her personal knowledge saved the day.
It really seems like it did. Unbelievable story. Okay, number 4. Back to a more typical high school scenario, if you can call any of these typical. Suburban high school, freshman year, earth science class, lockdown announcement comes.
And the initial reaction is often,
Yeah, oh, it's just a drill.
yeah,
Kids were joking around, not taking it seriously at first. But then a second announcement came, much faster, more rushed. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
that changes the mood instantly, I bet.
Total silence. Then they heard it. Slow footsteps coming down the hall, stopping right outside their classroom door.
Oh, that's terrifying. The sound approaching.
Knack. Soft. Slow. 3 times. Pause. Then the sound of the doorknob turning. Slowly.
Testing the lock. Trying to see if it's open.
And then a voice from the hallway, a male voice, calmly saying, "This is just a drill. You can open the door now."
Wow. Using the drill language against them. That's manipulative, calculated.
The teacher, Mrs. Chin, didn't say a word. Just silently, firmly motioned for everyone to stay down, stay quiet. The person outside must have realized the trick didn't work. The knocking got louder, more aggressive, and then just one scream from down the hall. A single scream then. Silence again.
A scream, and then nothing. That ambiguity is almost worse. What happened? Who screamed? You're left wondering. And the use of that phrase, "it's just a drill," that's a deliberate attempt to bypass the safety rules, isn't it? Exploiting the protocol itself.
It seems like it. Eventually, they heard police shouting in the hallway, looked out the window, saw a SWAT van. Later, they saw an officer leading a guy out in handcuffs, looked about 30, pale, long, dark hair, dark clothes. Apparently, he'd slipped in through a side door somehow. Officials said everything was under control, but the students, they knew better. They'd heard the footsteps, the knock, that voice, and that scream.
Yeah. Under control feels very different when you've been on the other side of that locked door, hearing those sounds. The psychological impact remains.
For sure. Okay, our last story, number 5. This one is particularly grim. Northside High School, Jacksonville, North Carolina. This happened really early in the morning, like 6:55 a.m. before classes officially started. The narrator was in the chorus classroom.
Early morning is tough. Fewer staff around. Students might be scattered in different places.
Yeah. Something happened, and they ended up hiding in a closet in the chorus room. They stayed in there for nearly 2 hours until almost 8:45 a.m. At first, they didn't know what was going on, maybe a fight, but the teacher knew better. Her response was just, "It's much worse."
That's a horrible thing for a teacher to have to say.
Terrible.
Yeah.
They found out later what happened. It was an attack in the school's rotunda area. 2 students were stabbed and taken to the hospital. Tragically, one of them died. A teacher was also slashed, trying to intervene. So 3 people injured, 1 fatality. A 16-year-old student was later charged with voluntary manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon.
Just devastating. A life lost, others injured inside the school walls.
But here's something that makes this even more disturbing in a very modern way. The attack, the stabbing itself, was apparently recorded by someone and posted on Snapchat.
Recorded and shared online. That's a profound violation.
The narrator didn't watch it, thankfully, but heard about it. Said the recording was mostly just the sound of the person filming running away, but you could hear the victim's screams in the background.
That adds a whole other layer of trauma, doesn't it? The violence itself, then the digital sharing of it, spreading the horror instantly. It makes managing the aftermath, the grief, the fear, so much harder for the school and the community when it's circulating like that.
And it fueled other fears, too.
Yeah.
There were rumors the attack might have been gang-related, which brought this whole other level of anxiety about possible retaliation, ongoing violence, even after the immediate incident was over.
Right. The fear doesn't just stop when the police leave. It lingers, especially with those kinds of undertones.
So looking back at these 5 stories, Luke's near miss, the creepy clown, the prison escape, the voice at the door, the tragic stabbing, what strikes me is just how fast safety evaporates. 1 minute it's a normal school day, the next you're hiding in silence, completely isolated, terrified.
Absolutely. And that isolation is key. Waiting, not knowing what's happening just outside the door. And we see attackers adapting, don't we? Using ambiguity like the clown or manipulating protocols like the voice saying, "It's just a drill."
Yeah, these aren't just headlines. These are deeply personal moments of terror that stay with people.
And when you connect it all, when the systems designed to protect fail or are circumvented, what shines through often is the resilience of individuals. Teachers making split-second decisions, students staying quiet under immense pressure. But they carry that fear, that trauma, long after the event is technically over.
It's a heavy topic, but thank you for bringing these stories to us, allowing us to share them. We hope listening to these accounts has offered some insight, however unsettling, into these real events.
Understanding these experiences is crucial, even when it's difficult.
Well, that's all the time we have today. If you found these stories impactful, if they made you think, please consider supporting our channel, Horror Docs. Give us a like, share this narrative if you feel others should hear it, and subscribe for more true stories that delve into the disturbing realities people face. Thank you for listening.